In case you don't know, every single Monday I put out an original song here on my YouTube channel. It's a song that gets written in the morning, recorded in the morning usually, somewhere in the middle of the day. Then I mix it, I master it, I make the video, and I spit it all out at the end of the night, and the whole thing comes out in one day. Why am I telling you about that? Because I've been doing it since August, and I've learned so much about the recording process, songwriting process, video making process, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I've realized is that in the old days when I first started that, I was working too hard to get good bass tones. There are some amazing presets inside of Garageband, and I wanted to tell you guys how I'm starting to get these really good bass tones coming out in those Monday music songs. So that's what we're going to talk about here today on Garageband and Beyond. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about are the 4 different presets that I really do truly love. We're going to start with the 60s combo, and it sounds like this. Pretty basic sound. This is an emulation of the Ampeg flip top or convertible, depending on what you want to call it. Very famous, very popular amp that's been on tons and tons of recordings. This is what it looks like on GarageBand, okay? Now, if you are someone with multiple basses, I will say, if you're using the 60s combo amp, it definitely likes P-style basses better. This obviously is not an actual Fender P bass. This is my old Epiphone, which I do truly love. But it's not an actual P bass, but it gives you that sound more or less, right? Another thing that's good with a P bass and this particular amp is a pick, good picking bass sound. Right? Pretty standard sound, okay? So that's the first one. Now, next down in the row is Pick Brightener. I love this sound. I use this one a lot. Right? Great sound if you're trying to use a pick and you just can't get enough attack out of your bass or the preset that you're using. Use Pick Brightener. And again, I'm going to tell you guys how I get these sounds all at the end. I mean, these are the presets I'm using, but there's a secret to using them, and I'm going to share that at the end. Okay, so the next 2, I do want to switch my bass over to my G&L L1000 because they do like a little bit more of a modern sounding bass. You can still use the P bass, no doubt about it, but me personally, when I'm using the modern stack, I like something that has at least a tone of an active bass. Even though this is not an active bass, it sounds somewhat like an active bass. Anyway, let's switch basses. I should apologize. There's a little bit of latency between my monitors and me right now because I'm recording the audio and the video and all this stuff off of one computer. So if it sounds like my tempo stinks when I'm playing bass, it's because I'm listening to a ton of latency right now. Anyway, so let's go down. Modern stack. Let's listen to this. It's like playing in the mud. This is a great sound. This is a very versatile sound. This one's probably the warmest and the biggest of all the 3 that I've shown you so far. This is probably one of my favorites that I use the most, okay? So now, next one down, Crunch Cab, and this is a distortion sound. The latency is killing me. It's a great sound. And if you need a good distorted bass sound, just use the Crunch Cab. The Razor bass is okay. It's a little thin for my taste. This one sounds like the kind of distorted basses that I like. Okay? So those are the 4 presets that I use the most. If you watch my Monday music videos, these are the 4 bass sounds that you've been listening to pretty much the entire time. Okay, so now, what's the big secret? How do I get the sounds to be so cool and so full and present in the mixes? I don't mess with them. That's the secret, okay? So occasionally I will come in here and I will like turn the compressor down a little bit. Maybe I'll turn the bass down just a tiny bit. But any moves that I make, any changes that I make to these presets are bare minimum, absolutely minimal. That's what I figured out, is that these presets that they gave us way back when down at Apple, they're awesome and they work. And the more I did my project on Mondays, the more I realized, wow, those sound great right out of the box, you know? And the more I mess with them, the less good they sound, right? So this is what I wanted to tell you guys. There's certain presets that really do sound great just out of the box. You might need to go in and play with the compressor a tiny little bit or EQ it just a little bit, depending on the kick drum sound you're using or vocals. All sorts of different things might need to happen to accommodate the bass, or the bass needs to accommodate those sounds rather. But you know what? The big secret is don't mess with them and record everything at the proper level. If you don't know what I'm talking about by that, it's when you're going in through your interface, right? So hopefully you have a VU meter and you can, see what's going on. But basically you want your peaks to be right around negative 18 dB. And your absolute maximum peaks should be negative 6 dB. Like you should never see the 6 dB, like maybe once or twice throughout an entire performance. That should be your maximum ceiling, but in general, the average ceiling should be negative 18 dB. What that will translate into, well, why don't I just show you? Why don't I just show you guys? Okay, so what I want you to look at here is this row of numbers right here. So first off, these are percentages, okay? So this is 100%, 50, and 25, right? So when you are done recording, you need to come in and look at this waveform. If you don't have a VU meter on your interface or whatever, you can check your recorded levels by simply coming to the editor window and checking them against this unit of measure right here, this percentage number. So in general, right? So if you're recording at negative 18 dB as your basic ceiling, your average ceiling on your interface, this is what your track should look like. So what does that look like? 25% and a little bit over, but really nothing over 50%. If you can get your recorded level right when you record and keep it consistent, keep your playing consistent, keeping those levels relatively consistent throughout the performance, these presets will perform really, really well. However, this stage of it, this recording level stage of it, super, super essential, you guys. So do not underestimate the importance. And this goes for vocals and guitars and everything that you record. These are basically the levels that you need to be getting. And I've made videos about that. And that's, it's the number one reason your exports don't come out loud enough is because you're recording at the wrong levels. That's my opinion. Anyway, so that's basically the whole thing. Choose one of these four. If these are four sounds you like, when you need to tweak them, keep it bare minimum, you guys. Don't mess with them too much. If you need to open up a compressor or something, that's okay. But again, use the presets and change them minimally. They work really well right out of the gate. They've done a great job down at Apple making sure that these presets do work really well. And don't forget, these are Logic presets. We just don't have all of the fancy visual stuff when we open up the plugins or whatever, but these are the same exact presets that are in Logic. So, there you go. This is the stuff people need to be realizing about these amazing presets. Playing your bass in a consistent manner, getting the performances right, all of that is going to be important, of course. But the fundamental part of getting tone right, thank God there's Garageband. I mean, really, you guys, how awesome is that? I mean, once I realized I don't have to play with these, I just turn on these presets, make one little change, two little changes, maybe. Sometimes like my other bass buzzes a lot, so I got to dial out some of the high end to get rid of that buzz on the quiet sections or whatever. But in general, I don't mess with them much, and I keep saying that because that's what I do now. And I've been super, super pleased with the bass tones, as have you guys. I've gotten comments on, wow, the bass sounds so great. If I'm going to be adding any plugin to this, I will show you. I did just recently review it, but one plugin that really loves living on this channel is this guy. Oop, no. Did I just open it? There it is. Okay, the True Iron plugin. I just made a video about this thing. If you're looking for something to give your bass tones a little extra guts, this is... I'm going to turn it off. Hear that? I hope you can hear that. This True Iron plugin, so good, and it's great on stuff where you really want like the low end to be, well, it's great in your master bus if you want to hit the whole mix with it. That worked really well. I've been experimenting with it on bass and kick drums a lot lately, and I find that it really does just sort of opens the sound up a little bit more. And this is a plugin that I've been occasionally, not always, occasionally dropping in on my bass tracks, but it does usually live in my master bus now when I'm doing my mastering. But I just wanted to add it. I know a lot of you probably went out and bought this because of that review. Check it out on your bass tones. So you guys, I think that's basically all I needed to tell you today. With these presets, don't play with them too much. Just trust the sounds. And if you open them up and it's like, wow, that doesn't match my song or something, you know, make sure you're getting the right preset open, make sure you're in the right neighborhood in general, but then also understand that like if this bass tone isn't working for your song, that you might need to adjust the song to match the bass tone. This is something that I'm basically talking to beginners out there. If you don't like the way your mixes come out, what I see from you guys when I get mixes from clients is that you're just doing too much. There's too many plugins, too many EQ moves, too much happening in the compressor, too many effects, too much. So I just wanted to encourage you guys to not do too much, right? Keep it simple. Trust these presets. They're good. Get the recording levels right, and all should be well if you perform your song well. A good performance is always going to be the most important part of any good recording, okay? So no matter how good these presets are, if you're not playing properly, they're not going to be able to help you. Practice makes perfect, y'all. So practice your instruments, trust these plugins, and have a blast because GarageBand rocks. So that's about it. So you guys, I'll see you on Friday. Peace and love.